Number one, I'm obsessed. I have an obsessive personality, and I want to do everything, all the way. I'm like my friend Jeff. But I think a huge thing for me is I've always learned to think outside the box and do things differently than other people haven't done it.
Welcome to the Jeff Sutherland Show. Let's grow today as we learn from decades of real estate and leadership experience.
We want you to know that when you log into this show, you're going to get authentic conversation. We're going to give it to you straight, and it's going to be real. Hey, everybody, this is Jeff Sutherland with the Jeff Sutherland Show. And boy, we have a great guest for you today. Before we get to that, I just wanted to tell you in Phoenix, now we thought the rates were going to go down a little bit. They really didn't. But interestingly, Chase and I have been busier than snot. It's been crazy. We've been so amazingly busy. It's exciting. Chase, I think it's because a lot of these sellers are just tired of waiting, right? And I think people are tired of putting their lives on hold, and people are out there buying. And we have several deals in escrow, and it's really exciting to see buyers and sellers coming to us. Just real quick before we get to our guest, what are you seeing out there? How's it going for you, Chase?
Yeah, it's been great. Something to kind of note. We do open houses every single week, and we're really seeing a lot more traffic coming to these open houses. A lot more people are out looking around, wanting to shop, wanting to go see homes. So it really seems like people are, starting to get out there again, which is a good sign.
Absolutely. And, on this show, I promised my audience that I would handpick very, very talented people. And I have not disappointed again this week. I'm bringing on an amazing person, another big thinker on the show today. Her name is Deanne Dillard, and she's a realtor from San Diego, one of the best places in the world. And she is actually with eXp Realty, and she's a top performer in the luxury market. She's done quite a bit of business in luxury. She's closed over 200 houses in her career. She's been in the business about 16 years. Deanne's involved with several initiatives in her career. I really look up to her, to be honest with you. She's been also through some difficult, very challenging times as a human being. And you know what? She's always come out the other side. And I really respect her for that. She's mentally tough. She's full of grace and poise, and I simply cannot wait for you all to meet her. So, Deanne, it's good to have you here today. Thanks for coming on.
Well, wow. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thanks for having me, and I'm excited to chit-chat with you guys.
Absolutely. So cool. So Deanne, you and I have been through a lot of different markets. In fact, usually what happens in California usually ends up happening in Arizona at some point. So what's going on in San Diego? What's the market like over there?
Well, it's interesting what you just said about you guys starting to be busy right now, even though the interest rates haven't gone down like we hoped, because the last quarter of 2024 was pretty non-existent here. Everybody was waiting. I kept telling everybody, wait till after the first, till after the election and after the holidays, and things are going to change. All fingers crossed, but we are really picking up. I'm busy just like you guys. I have had 17 new clients in the first 2 weeks of January. So I know, unheard of when there was crickets for the last quarter of the year. Yesterday alone, I got 2 new listings and a buyer client. So I think things are going to start rocking and rolling here for sure.
Wow, that's amazing. So why do you think last year, the second half of last year was so slow? Because it was that way here too. Mm-hmm. And then what do you think? Why is the change in the mindset with the consumers out there? You have any thoughts on that?
I honestly think that people were waiting and just anticipating that something's going to happen. Like you said, Jeff, we've seen so many changes in the market, and every election year, people wait. For whatever reason, they think something's going to change after the election, either way. And I've never seen it really do anything different, except for there's a big stall, and then everyone's like, oh, okay, that happened. Now we can get back to normal life. So I think the election had something to do with it. I think that it was just the interest rates. People are hoping something's going to happen there, and a combination of different things where the consumers are just waiting. And now I think they're tired, like you said, and they're ready to go.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting. I've and just in the last couple of weeks, I've taken a couple $2.5 million listings that are about ready to hit the market,
Yeah,
which is really exciting. And I'm going to be asking you some questions here later in this episode, Deanne, about how you do luxury real estate and what would be a little bit different and the expectations that the consumers might have for you in that space versus, a non-luxury home.
sure.
So, yeah, I'm excited to
Yeah,
talk about
we're
that.
we're excited for that, man. I'm excited to hear about that. But Deanne, Jeff speaks super highly of you, and we're excited to have you on. Obviously, it's nice to finally meet you in person. He's told me a lot about you, and obviously, you're super successful in this industry where you're at in San Diego. Is there any certain things that you contribute to that success that maybe our audience can take and use that in their own life? I mean, anything specific that comes to mind when it comes to your success and kind of what contributes to that?
Sure, absolutely. Number one, I'm obsessed. I have an obsessive personality, and I want to do everything, all the way, like my friend Jeff. But I think a huge thing for me is I've always learned to think outside the box and do things differently than other people haven't done. And I've moved some markets, and every time I've been in a market where I knew no one, and when I first started 15 years ago, I was rookie of the year, but I started selling land because nobody else was doing that. Nobody wanted to sell land. Nobody wanted to sell a $10,000 piece of land that was going to take, 12 months to sell. But I was like, what can I do that everyone else isn't doing? And I ended up becoming the number one agent in my community because I was taking, a listing a week. Um, Early on, my goal was to take one a week, 52 a year. I think I did 50 was my most the listings that I took in 1 year. But it was because I had my face in every vacant lot in the city. So people had to drive by and see my face every day. And that turned into a great residential career. And then I moved 5 years ago to San Diego, and then I had to start all over again because that was during COVID, and I had to say, okay, what can I do that everyone else isn't doing? And so I started to reach out to other realtors all over the country and build a referral network, which happened to sustain me when interest rates went up and down. People are still moving in and out of states. So really, I think it's just thinking ahead and looking for something that everybody else isn't doing and to really go hard on that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you said a couple of things that I really like there. The one thing is being obsessed, right? And I think a lot of people, that's a great point. And a lot of people are looking for, they talk a lot about work-life balance and stuff. And sometimes I just don't think that that's feasible, especially when you're trying to grow, right? I mean, talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
It's absolutely not. I mean, there's benefits in this industry to have some flexibility in your time. I started as a single mom and I wanted to be able to take care of my kids at the same time. But if you're growing or building a business, like you expect to work 16 hours a day, expect to work even more than that, expect to work evenings and weekends because you're trying to achieve a goal. And once you sustain that and get in a rhythm, you can pull back. But if you really want to do something, I think you're going to have to go all in.
For sure.
Yeah, being an entrepreneur, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, right?
Exactly. People think that it is. They're like, well, I want to have my own business so I can make my own hours and take weekends off. And maybe in 30 years. But not today.
Yeah, you better make sure you like what you're doing too, because if you're working that much, you really want to make sure you're enjoying it too, I think. So
Exactly. And I love it. It's fun for me. Business is fun for me. Figuring it out and succeeding at something that I built myself, that's super fun.
For sure. I had one other thing too. Sorry, Jeff. Yeah, I wanted to ask. So you also mentioned just having your face out there, right? Doing things that other people aren't doing. Get your face out there. They're seeing your face on every vacant lot. When it comes to, marketing, you do a lot on social media. You're very present. Is there any tactics you can share on the marketing side of things that kind of help you stand out and set you apart from other realtors?
Absolutely. So like I said, doing something that everyone else isn't doing. So when I was farming land, I was sending a letter out every week to every landowner in the entire city, and they saw my face over and over again. Then they would see my sign and they had to drive by my sign. Then they would see my open house sign. And eventually I had a huge billboard in front of the country club because I had a land listing there. So they had to continually see my face. But that was 15 years ago, I started using social media and it wasn't a thing. we didn't have courses and everybody teaching you how to be a social media master. But I just got on there and shot videos. As much as I hated to put my face on camera at that time, I just did it. I just kept doing it and doing it, just trying to be in front of as many people everywhere as much as I could. And then when I pivoted and started to work with other realtors, it was kind of the same thing. But now I'm just trying to put my face in front of other realtors and let them know that I have your clients here in California. They're moving. Let's partner. So really just being obsessed with getting in front of whoever that person is that's going to connect you to your clients.
I love it. If you're in the business 16 years, heck, if you're in the business over 10 years, you got game and you got some staying power, right? Through different markets. And so kudos to that. Let me ask you a question, Deanne, regarding your life. We're good friends, and I've honestly seen you go through some serious setbacks in your life events that have hit you hard. And honestly, if I would have had some of these things happen to me, I think I would have had a slower bounce back rate than you. That's why I just really look up to you. You always come back swinging, and you come back, swinging even harder. So would you care to share a little bit about, what you've been through in the past year and years, and how has that shaped who you are and your identity, as a human being?
Yeah, I'm going to say that's probably shaped me the most, is all of the tragedies that I've been through. And I'll be quite honest, I have a great therapist, and I recommend everybody need a therapist. But she's told me that, most people in their lifetime go through one, maybe two huge traumatic events. And you've been through at least five, and at least more than most people. But that's absolutely made me who I am and made me driven. But when I started, I was in real estate. I was going through a very difficult divorce, and I had 4 children that I ended up pretty much raising on my own. So single mom, trying to start a business in real estate, and then a few years ago, 5 years ago, my daughter died in a car accident. When she was 21. And that's why I left where I was and moved markets. I left 28 listings in the desert and moved to the coast and started over. And then COVID happened. And so it was really just being resilient during that time. And then a couple of years ago, my older sister died. And then this last year, my younger sister died. So that's a lot of stuff for one person to have to do, and basically on my own, go through all those things. But I'm not going to say I'm thankful for them, like some people might say, but it has made me look at life differently. And I'm extremely thankful. I love my life. I have an amazing life being through all those things. But had I not been through them, I wouldn't know what my life is today. I wouldn't have the vision I have for the future, or the respect for my past and the respect for who that's made me. So it's been a lot, but it is who I am today. And I think that's what makes me a strong person, and also makes me so driven to help my kids too.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy. And I will say that, a lot of people that know me know that I'm a part-time pastor. And I will say this to anybody unequivocally. I agree with Deanne 100%. Everybody should have a therapist.
Yes.
And, everyone needs therapy. And if you think you're above it, you're wrong. We all need help. If you're going to be the Lone Ranger here in life, it's going to be a very lonely life. We do need each other. We need help at times. I so appreciate you saying what you just said. And when I look at you and your persona and what you put out to the world, I honestly see like fearlessness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you've probably come to that point, and you can obviously share, but where you've been through so much, it's like, you go for it after a certain time. You don't necessarily care so much about what everybody else thinks, right? I mean, you just go for it because you have.
You can't scare me.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say you can't scare me. And my kids, my girls, and I would kind of joke about it when people are going through things. It's just, to us, it's like, well, okay, that's really not that big of a thing, which it is to everybody in the time that they're going through it. But I've been through so many things. There's not really anything out there that I'm too afraid of, because I know I can get through it. I know I can figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I just want to tell you, I hope you never change that. That's, in fact, some of the things you do, I actually like get a lot of my ideas from the stuff you put out there. So thank you. You definitely bless so many people besides just the people out there that are buying and selling real estate. I love your stuff.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I had another question for you, Dan. I'm a newer agent. I've been in coming up on a year, and I always like to ask people who are, been in this business a lot of years, done a lot. What advice do you have for agents coming into 2025 here, starting out the year on what they should be focusing on to be successful for this upcoming year, and specifically newer agents like myself? I like
Mhm.
to do a lot of open houses and really try to work my sphere, but is there any certain tactics that you can share maybe that you give advice to some of these agents coming into a new year?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, be obsessed. Like I said, you're going to do. And when I say that, I also mean in whatever, however you're going to get business, because you can pick 20 ways to get business and they're all going to work if you work them, if you are obsessed. And even like with open houses, like don't be just the guy who has open house every week. Be the guy who has a mega open house every week. Be the guy who has a DJ at his open house and who has, champagne and donuts, who has a raffle of a TV. Like pick one pillar that you're going to be good at and go hard at it and dial in all your systems until like you are the man. You are Chase the open house man. And then pick another pillar, right? And once it's dialed in, it's working for you, then pick something else. And whatever you're going to do, you're going to cold call, you're going to door knock, are you going to work your sphere? Even your sphere, you can be like the master of the sphere, with client events and with reaching out to your clients and newsletters and all of it. But go all in on one thing, because if you go all in on 10 things, like I know this from experience, that's what I want to do. But you can't, and you won't do any of them really well, but pick one or two or three things, whatever they are, and just be the master of that.
Yeah, that's really sound, because I feel like talking with, you talk to a bunch of different people and people have been successful at all of these different things. So they all work,
Yep.
it's just getting really good at them. And it's hard to get really good at everything. Like you said, you really got to focus and nail down on one thing and getting great at it, and then kind of making a shift after that if you need to. But yeah,
And
that's great advice.
you don't have to do every single shiny penny that comes along. Pick some. Eventually, you've been in the business 5-10 years. You can keep adding things, because if you have your systems in place, they'll start to work for themselves. But do what you love. If you hate cold calling, don't do it. Find something else.
For sure.
And now we have a new brand, Chase the Open House Man. We're going to start doing
That's what we're striving for. I like the sound of it.
I love it. So another thing that Deanne and I are involved in is a broker agnostic platform across the United States, where the average agent is doing around 38 deals a year. And this is an exclusive club that we are a member of called Pro Insight. And we're working with productive agents throughout the country. So if you're listening to this and you want more referrals, you need to contact one of us, because we can help you get on board. But tell us a little bit more about that program, Deanne, what it's doing for your business, and how do you and I help other agents win in that space?
Yeah, well, the program is fantastic, because my model already before I found the program was agent to agent referrals. So it was a no-brainer for me. And we're bringing in the people, like you said, who are producing agents and connecting them with agents all over the country. And because on average, if someone's doing 38 deals, they're going to be sending at least 4 referrals out a year, and probably a lot more than that. And they need top producers also all over the country. And I don't know if you guys have thought of this, but it's the one pillar that doesn't go away no matter what's going on. Even if the interest rates are going up, even if there's going to be a new president, people still move in and out of states. So people are still moving close to family. They're getting older. They have job changes. They have the military. And so you have to identify those those places in the country that have your clients and that you have their clients and start to connect with them. So that's what the platform is doing. It's also helping us build out a local business to business network. So we can work more on referrals and that pillar that sustains in almost any market.
You hit that on the head. It's referral business is by far the best business, in my humble opinion, right? Because after doing this business for so long, if you're buying leads and let's say the market shifts, what happens if that spigot turns off? You've become dependent on that lead source that may not always be there. And when you develop a strong foundation in your real estate business, and this goes for a lot of other industries, and that is people that have real needs to buy and sell, and they're primary occupants or they're selling their home, you know that's the bread and butter. It's always going to serve you in the worst markets and the best markets. So, and this is what this whole platform is about: is we're helping agents develop large national networks and affiliates that they have with them. That's another thing. Here's a little hint as an agent for you guys out there: is you need to develop strong affiliations within your local area. So your general contractors, your inspectors, your handymen, your lenders, all these people, your insurance agents, your attorneys. This is a group of people that you should expect reciprocity from. You should expect them to give you referrals back because you're helping them with their business. And as agents, the last thing I'll say is we've always gone to the buffet and we provide the food as agents and everybody else brings forks.
Yep.
And what we teach you to do is we teach you to teach your affiliates to help refer more business to you. So it's a win-win scenario. Anything else on that, Deanne?
That's exactly where my head was going, is that we have affiliations with these vendor partners and we're giving them all the business, but it hasn't necessarily historically been reciprocal. And if it's not, then you need a new vendor and you need to create new relationships where it's give and take on both sides.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Over to you, Chase.
Yeah, I'm curious, Deanne. Here we are at the beginning of the year, right? A couple weeks into January. A lot of times, not only business people, but a lot of people are kind of doing their planning, business planning, December, January, right, to get set up for the year. Tracking, working on their goals and whatnot. Do you have any strategies for business planning, for goal setting and goal tracking throughout the year? Do you have any sort of, strategies toward that, things that you do that might help the audience with their goals and their business planning this year?
Absolutely. So I personally take the last couple weeks of the year and really strategize. A lot of people are traveling with their family, they take time off, and then there's those realtors who say never take time off and you should be working right now. But I really need time to focus on what I want to do for the next 12 months. And so I give myself some time to just write it all out, say, okay, this is how many houses I want to sell. This is how many realtors I want to help. And then I reverse engineer that. So say Chase, you want to sell 20 homes this year. And then you need to say, well, how many homes am I going to be able to sell each month? January is going to be different than June, but how does that equal 20 homes at the end of the year? And then what is that going to take from you every quarter in order to get that? Are you going to have to find a new system to implement, right? And then you're going to need to break that down to what it's going to take every month and then back to every week. So then it gets into time blocking. If I do these activities all week, how's that going to get me to my monthly goal, which is going to get me to my quarterly goal, which is going to get me to my yearly goal? So it sounds like a lot, but I'm huge on getting the end and then reverse engineering all the ways. Because you'll be surprised if you go, okay, I'm going to do open houses, cold calling, and door knocking. Well, how many deals can you get from an open house? Can you get 12? How many deals can you get from door knocking? And how many deals can you get from cold calling, right? And then exactly, well, if you can get 10 from each pillar, then you're going to have 30 deals at the end of the year and how you're going to do that. So I'm huge on the 12-week year, also really chunking things down to 12 weeks and setting those goals and building out those big rocks in the 12 weeks.
Nice. I'm glad you said that. I'm actually almost done with that book right now. And I got a couple of guys that we're working together on kind of planning out the 12-week year. So I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, that's great feedback. I feel like a lot of people, they set a lot of goals, but they don't really do the reverse engineering part of it to break it down to, hey, what's it going to take every week, right? To get you to that, big yearly goal, break it up into the quarters and then weekly and even daily. So that's good info. And I think it might just be because I'm still kind of new. But like when you mentioned how many deals can you get from open houses, right? I mean, I've had some open houses where, we haven't had anybody come in. And then I've had open houses where 20 people will come in, And so I guess just, I need to do good at tracking that, right, over a certain amount of time and seeing what kind of conversion rates you're getting and how many deals you can create out of how many open houses you do and whatnot. I guess that tracking is obviously super important.
You can't always measure, you can't always determine what the outcome is going to be, but you can determine what your actions are going to be, right? So if you, on average, are doing this many, you can kind of figure out how many clients in a ballpark, right? But if you're doing the actions, you're doing the work, you're going to get closer to that goal either way.
For sure. Yeah, that's good.
And I'll tell you something, Chase is modest and he's humble. First year in the business, Deanne, started February 1st. He put 15 deals into escrow and he ended up closing 13. That's not bad.
Awesome. That's rookie of the year, right?
I'm telling you.
I had a good mentor, Deanne. I had a good mentor.
Well, I know you're going to be successful because my first year I sold 12 houses. So you start like that. And I didn't even know that was a lot at the time. I was just like, well, I could do one a month. That's not hard. But everyone's like, what? And then you just keep doubling it.
That's awesome.
That's right. That's the game plan.
So let's talk a little bit deeper about San Diego. The perception I have, and I believe it's true, is there's negative growth in California with population leaving. Mm-hmm. But is San Diego the same way? What's going on there? Are people still investing there? What's the local market like there? What's happening?
Well, you're right in that people are leaving. It's extremely expensive here. But believe it or not, people are still moving here. They want to be close to their family. They love California. They live in Michigan. There's different reasons that people are still living here, but, and definitely investing here. I'm involved in some investment projects here. There's a lot of opportunity, but we also have a lot of generational living. So, the median home price where I'm at is like 1.8 million. So it's not really affordable for the average homeowner. So we have a lot of generational living, a lot of, sharing a place with a parent, people building additional dwelling units. I don't know if you guys have that there, but it's a huge opportunity also for investors. They're buying these small little older houses because it's a coastal community. And then they're, improving that and then adding an ADU, and then it's more affordable to people, families, and living together, or also renting that out because people still want to live here, and now they're helping themselves with their mortgage by renting out an additional dwelling unit. But believe it or not, things still go strong here. They do.
San Diego is still one of the most beautiful places on earth, as far as I'm concerned, and things go up, things go down, but that makes sense. People are still going there. ADUs are becoming more prevalent here, by the way, as well. So that's definitely, it's come to Arizona.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like you said, how things come from California to Arizona, but I can imagine the same way too, right? Family, generational living, offsetting your mortgage, all those things are super attractive right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Deanne, do you have any specific, I guess, advice for women in the industry? Obviously, Jeff's had some powerful and very successful women on the show already. You're no different. Do you have anything specific for the women going into business this year and how they can be successful, I guess, here in 2025?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's my passion is those ladies out there who need support. 15 years ago when I started, we didn't have that. It was definitely, and I lived in the desert market. It was definitely a man's industry. And now we have so many support groups for women. We have women mastermind, we have women investing groups, we have therapists. But my big thing I always tell people is get support, because it's out there in abundance now, and it wasn't when I was, and it's difficult to dredge through also without getting support, because so many people looked at me more as a threat in the industry instead of as a partner. And now I am really thankful at where I'm at and the collaboration and the support that we give each other. But I say get out there and find groups. There's so many people.
I have to just piggyback on that, because I had my wife on the show a few weeks ago, and we were talking about how women have a tendency to kind of beat each other down.
Absolutely.
And she said, Jeff, we can be really rough on each other, but we can also be really good for each other.
Yep.
And I was like, it was such a perfect answer, right? Because sometimes I have this image, like when you said you were a threat. I think if there's this is just my take on it, but if you're a real confident woman and you're confident in yourself, there's a lot of other women that perceive you to be a threat. And yet we try to teach our young ladies growing up to be confident, right? That's what we that's what I taught my daughter.
Yes.
Right. And because of that, other people look down on her. It's such a double standard, and it's very sad. What's your take on that?
I think it is a lack mindset among women, that they historically have been on the back burner. And when a powerful woman comes along, and they feel threatened and probably not confident enough in themselves. And so I think that they immediately look at you as a competition. And I reached out to a lot of women when I got started. How'd you get that listing? How'd you do this? And I didn't get any support. So I had to Google my way through how do I be a great realtor. But unfortunately, that's how it's been historically. But I think right now we're seeing a little bit of a turn with so many women's support groups and a lot of powerful women coming together to support each other. So that's why I feel like people can really dive into these groups and find the support right now.
That's so good to hear. You're right. It's a mindset. It's a life mindset. Are you coming from scarcity, or are you coming from abundance? Right? When you see other people, do you see that as an opportunity to collaborate, to get better? A rising tide lifts all ships, or do you see them as a threat? And so I am optimistic like you are. So that's good to hear.
Yeah. And the more women I help, the better I get. They say that when you mentor others, that's when you get better. I'm out there giving to these ladies, and the more it helps me, and it feels really good to see other women thrive. So it's just a shift, I think, in everybody's mindset that needs to happen.
100%. 100%. Let's talk luxury. Focusing on luxury homes. What's the difference in luxury homes and selling luxury homes versus non-luxury homes? And, how does one get into that space if they're wanting to, kind of get up into those higher end homes? How does somebody kind of get into that space?
That's a great following question, actually, because luxury is a mindset also. So when I was in the desert, my median home price was $225,000, and I told people I'm going to move to San Diego and sell luxury properties, and they're like, "Oh, it's so hard to break into that market. There's so much competition. How are you going to do that?" Well, I did. When I got here, I started cold calling, and I got my first listing of $2.6 million. So what I say is a mindset, but also the work is the same, right? You're still calling people. You're still door knocking, believe it or not, luxury. You're still having an open house. You're still mailing to the farm. But you need a shift in mindset to start hanging out in the community where the luxury homeowners are, right? Go to the country club, go to the happy hour in that neighborhood, and start building a community around those people. And that's what I did, and it worked really well for me. Another thing I would say is go get luxury certified. Where I'm at EXP, we have the best luxury certification program and masterminds. You're getting all of this help from people who are in this space. And then you get a certification behind you and learn how to be the marketer to luxury properties. So there's a lot of different things you can do, but I think the most important is to don't think it's out of your reach, because it takes just as much work to market to luxury as it does to market to $200,000 properties.
For sure. And when you started focusing on luxury, did you stop doing the others? Did you
No,
not take on any other $200,000 homes when you were up in the millions, or did you do both? You just kind of strategized your marketing to kind of focus more on luxury.
I don't say no to money. So,
Okay.
so
Right.
$200,000 properties as long as it fit into my schedule
For
because my
sure.
priority is, and I coach people around that too. Like you want to have more GCI, you need to have a higher price point. But as you're trying to grow and build, like don't say no to money, and it still counts, and it still counts for your numbers. And if you
Right.
look like someone who sells 10 versus someone who has 20, that those people who are in the luxury space are going to look at you as a seasoned agent. But your marketing does change. You have to think of where people's mindset is. You have to think about who you're presenting yourself as. Are you somebody that these people would collaborate with? Um, but I don't say no, and I think that you can do it as long as you're having enough time to do the things that are important.
For sure.
I went to a mastermind years ago and somebody said, well, what does it take to be a luxury agent? And the luxury agent said, you have to say to yourself, I'm a luxury agent, right?
100%.
It's what it is.
Yes.
It's a change of mindset. And you talked about, going to different things. It really is all about your inner circle in life, right? And there was a gentleman, Jim Rohn. He's the guy that really, he initiated this. He said, the person you are 5 years from now is no different from the person you are today, except for the people you're hanging around with and the books you're reading, right?
Yeah.
So all my friends out there, you need to evaluate your inner circle, right? Who are you hanging out with? Are you challenging yourself? Are you taking a millionaire out to lunch once a month? Maybe a billionaire, right? Challenge yourself and up level who you are by being around better people. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. I don't. I want to be like the dumbest guy in the room. I want to learn so much from so many people. So, I mean, it really is all about associations, isn't it, Deanne?
100%. And you hit it on the head with what Jim Rohn said. But once you start being in those circles, you're going to those events and you can get in rooms with some really big people and those people become your friends. And that's what I did. And I have friends that I couldn't even imagine 10 years ago that I would have. But it's just being in those circles and saying, hey, I'm a luxury agent here in San Diego. And then you manifest that also.
Yeah. And if you're sitting there at home and you're an agent, you're like, man, I got nothing in the pipeline. I'm bummed out. I'm in the fetal position. You might want to get into a mastermind. That was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich concept, the mastermind, going into a group of other people where you're sharing ideas. Could you imagine our industry if everybody was involved in masterminding, how much better we would be serving the consumers? It'd be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think masterminds are huge and essential right now. And I belong to some amazing groups just because I went out there and decided to join something, which anyone can do. You can definitely do that. Like you said, if you don't have anything in the pipeline, I mean, your evenings and weekends, you should be hanging out with some new people and building new relationships.
Speaking about what you do with luxury, Deanne, do you do anything differently? Like when you list a house with a luxury house, do you do that anything differently than what you would for a $300,000 house?
I actually do.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm a luxury certified agent, and I have some things with my company that I have access to that I wouldn't normally have access to if I wasn't certified. And that's like getting my clients in different publications like the Wall Street Journal and the Robb Report. And having, their own website with their own video for their property. Those are huge. If you're taking a $2 million home, people want to see that you're doing something besides handing out flyers to the neighbors. So you really want to have some high end marketing. You're going to do a whole marketing booklet for your clients that you can share at open houses and with the neighbors and whatnot versus, a one-page flyer that you would normally do on a $200,000 listing. So there are things that you should be doing differently. And when you get into those masterminds, you're going to get a plethora of ideas. But yeah, I have a great platform that I have access to all kinds of high-end materials.
That's fantastic. So when you look into this year, Deanne, 25, what are you most excited about? Anything new going on? What do you see for year this year? Are you stretching yourself in any areas? Tell us about it.
Yes, in like 20 areas. I have a list of 20 things I want to accomplish this year. But yeah, I'm going to dial in some things on social media. I'm going to dial in some things with LinkedIn. I think that's an untapped resource for a lot of people. I'm working on some new pillars, but mostly I'm just really excited for a new start this year. I think I talk to agents every day, all day, and it was a rough year for almost everyone. Agents even normally doing 50 homes did like 15. But like you guys said, I'm seeing it right out of the gate, just really take off. And a lot of that is because I'm in several referral networks. And I think that's going to be huge for me this year, is really plugging into as many referral opportunities as possible. Because I think it's a little under tapped pillar that agents, everybody's focused on their sphere and their local market. But if you branch out to think, if I make connections with people all over the country, how many more clients am I going to have this year? So I got a ton of things, Jeff, that I want to do, like always.
Winners only, Deanne. That's what I love about you. You're a winner. So as we round about this episode, as we go down the home stretch. So my name is Jeff Sutherland. I have Chase Waldron, my business partner. I've been in business here in Phoenix for almost 25 years, almost a quarter of a century. I've been an owner of several brokerages and have sold hundreds and hundreds of houses. And if you come here with us, I guarantee you we'll take very good care of you. My goal for every client is to give them a 10 experience and have them be friends for life. And we put all of our heart and soul into our clients. So if you need anything in Phoenix, we'd love to help you with that. And today you got to meet another dynamo, Deanne Dillard, and she's out of San Diego. And if you're a buyer, seller, investor, and agent, you'd like to connect with her, please do so. You're not going to be disappointed. She's amazing. So Deanne, how can people get in contact with you?
Well, you can find me easily on social media. I'm very Googleable, but I'm on Facebook as just Deanne Dillard, and on Instagram, deannedillard.realestate. So literally, if you Google me, you'll find me in about 10 places.
I'm going to Google the word Googleable.
I'm Googleable.
Is that like gullible?
No, it's the opposite of gullible. It means powerful as a sentiment.
Chase, Deanne, any last words before we shut this episode down? Anything else we want to add?
Dan, it was great to meet you. It was great to meet you. Great to connect and chat, and look forward to talking with you again in the future. Thank you for all your help today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, you guys. That was really fun.
Awesome. And if y'all want to support us, we sure would appreciate it. Just go to the Jeff Sutherland Show. It's on YouTube. If you want any information about our team, just go to jeffsutherland.com. We'd be honored to help you. Deanne, it's been a pleasure. We love you, and we appreciate you so much. Everyone have a great, great day.
Take care, guys.